Wow, I am sorry about that. I had OBS crash on me. See if we can keep it up and running this time.
At least a little better than we did.
All right. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna drop this part down just a titch. And this little knob is nice, but not at the expense of hiding the only feature on this hole other than a creek. And you can't see the creek from here. So you're hiding the only thing on this hole that's not just fairway. I don't think that's a good plan. I would say, too, how does that bunker lay? Where does that put it? I see, now I can see the whole thing. And you know, a wayward drive would get into that bunker. I see that. But let's take a look at the bunkering overall on this course. I kind of want to see what different types we have. We got some squiggles, more interesting shapes, squiggly deals. We got a lot of fidget spinners. Another fidget spinner. You know, we've got fingers. This hole 14 that was redone has this one bunker, which is really the only fun thing here. And it's really boring. Let's see what we can do about that. Here you go, Kessler. Tip 1. If you're going to have a hole where you've got one bunker, and it is a defining... What's up, Aaron? Phipps 2? Haha, FPS. I'm watching the U.S. Open. I am not right now. I've been doing other things today. I probably should be, but can't have everything, right? I would say, why not give this hole some camber? Do something a little different. We're going to put a bunker on that other side. Let's do a little of this. And you'll notice I'm using flat. You don't have to do that. But you were asking, Kessler, do some big macro moves like this ahead of time. Go ahead and dump that down here. No, what did Phil Mickelson just done? What he done? He's a bad man. I know it's going to be some golf thing, but I kind of hope that you say, he ran into the gallery and he smacked this woman right in the side of the head and he called her names and everybody stared at him. He's like, that's what you get. Lefty is here. I know that's not what's going to happen, but sounds fun. He ranged and hit the ball while it was... Did you mean ranged or raged? Oh, he pulled a daily. Pulled a John Daly. Oh, I played the stupid front tees again. I'm about 3 seconds from deleting all these tees. Goodbye, tees. We'll miss you. Or not. Raged. I've always thought of Phil as being quite ragey. Just kidding. Everybody always asked, huh? What do you think of that Phil Mickelson guy?
Well, he's a great guy to play with, good playing partner. He just rages so hard. One time I was playing with him, and he swore at a baby. And that baby grew up to be a stand-up comedian.
Eventually, I'm going to figure out that I need to change tees. Because I will give you guys a hint. I put the tee boxes in as I'm designing, but I do not put all the tees in because I do not like having to deal with this all the time. Because it's stupid. Well, there, look. I pulled the bunker off, and it's already more interesting. It looks like a little up and over. We're at an elevated position. We've got some camber we're going to have to deal with. So we're going to have to play it over here. Real life? Oh gosh, I haven't carried a handicap for a long time. Best round I had last year out of the 4 I played was a 78, so not 4.6. 20 years ago, I was darn near scratch, but not anymore. Things happened called life, children and whatnot. And now if I can play a handful of times a year, I feel pretty good about it. All right, so Kessler's been doing a lot of these funky shapes, so why not give yourself that option? I'll play that up here. We can get kind of close to the fairway. He's got a lot of fidget spinners going on. Let's try some spinning action here. What would this do? See if we can duplicate his fidget spinneriness. This hurts my feelings to do, by the way. Well, it's fairly fidget spinnery. But at least it would match the rest of the course, right? Nah, that's going to look stupid. Let's take this another direction. Do I have enough undos? Oh, oh. All but one. Yeah, we'll leave that one. We'll do this. Doesn't need to be giant, but it can be big. That's no big deal. -2 with a triple bogey on the last. Well, good job. Way back in the day, I shot, upper 60s a few times, but not terribly consistently. What does that do if we give it some character? We bring this up a little more. Still want it to get super large. Plus, he's fairly consistent with his shapes. So you want it to still match. I bet you almost Phil raged on that last hole. Playing with a guy a few years ago, and he had a putt for 29. We were only playing 9, and he 3-putted it. So that made him pretty mad. Now, how has he done the depth on his bunkers on this thing? So not a lot. Now, see, that's the other thing, Kessler. If you're going to make a course with, a lot of bunkering and that, you want to be able to play with the shadows and light a little more. And to do that, I'm not going to do anything drastic here, but you have to give them a little something. Not much, but a little more than what you did. And you don't have to do that by lowering the inside of the bunker. So don't ever feel, guys, like you... I swore I wasn't going to say guys on this thing. Sorry, I take it back. No, guys. Folks, people, any number of other things that could be said. But you don't have to accomplish this by lowering the sand. What I would do here, lower that edge a little bit. And you want to make this area still playable without running you all the way into the rough all the time. But what you can do here, take the top edge, but really, why not bring this finger into focus a little more? Maybe even right here, which would give a little shadow on the inside. And you see, you're already adding some shadowing and perceived depth without making the bunker itself deeper. Like, in fact, I'm going to go all the way around this edge, almost a foot high. Drop that down. I don't like that little notch there. What's that look like from the T? And let's see if you think, Jacob, if it looks better from the T already. And all we did was we raised the T level slightly. We made this feel a little more like an up and over, even though it's really not. It's more like an up and keep going. We cambered it right to left. So if I hit this in the fairway, what direction is it going to move? Well, especially when I hit it fast. But that should, well, from there it's going to kick straight. Yeah, which is okay. You know what the trouble is? It almost seems to go up to that water. Is that water table water, or is that water that was added? Well, that's okay. That's why I'm doing this, man. There are a lot of guys who have decent ideas. They just can't take things up a notch, if you know what I mean. And so I'm hoping that this will benefit folks a little bit anyway. I'm going to touch this up just a little, not because it's too low, but it almost looks like you're going up into the water. I think the only way around that is to build this land up a little bit more. The other thing I'd say too here, Kessler, is you're ignoring all of this. I'm going to show you something. This will hopefully make you happy. We're on the edge of the course here. We got all these nice trees. I'm going to do something a little drastic. I want to move way over here. I'm going to pump up the volume a little bit. I'm going to have 40 feet. Wow. So much. Oh, no. Okay, that already blocked it in a little more. Let's see if we add a little more character here. It almost broke your water. Maybe even just a little knob right there. Yeah, I think the stat, and I've said this before, everybody says, well, work on your short game, work on your putting. And, 80 yards, that can be considered a short game, I guess. But greens in regulation. If you can hit greens in regulation and at least give yourself, if you can give yourself a putt, if you can give yourself a putt, you'll make up a lot of strokes, I think. Well, we've already done a little work there. See, he's got a nice hill over here, but again, you could do more. It's far enough away from the play area. I mean, go ahead and give it a little something. The other thing you could do, as opposed to that if you wanted to, was lower the tree area and make a little raised barrier. Yeah, no worries. Hopefully this is helpful. I don't know. But I don't design in PS4, so I was never going to stream that junk. But now with my internet fixed, we should be okay. And you guys can go back and watch from the beginning if you want to later, but this is Kessler's Japan course. My voice is echoey. I think probably because it's playing through my headphones. I'll see if I can get that fixed here in a minute. But I don't generally use these headphones for the mic, so I know the settings are wonky. Well, let's see.
Don't, lie. My, echo, voice. I do it this way, on purpose.
No betting for the kids.
Yeah, I'd say that hole looks better already, Kessler. Just working on the tee shot here. Now, I will say from a design standpoint, I think that the hole is either too short, needs to be more challenging off the tee, or maybe play at another angle. I'm wondering what it would be like if the tee were over here. Could you imagine that? I want to try that. Move tee. Yeah, it's not my headphone pithy, it's my vocal cords. I just have like 3 sets, so they just go. Did you use fairway or green? You used green. It was funny when Crazy and I were doing, when Andre and I were doing the homestead, he kept using green surfaces for his tee boxes, and I kept using fairway. And finally, I just went in and changed all of them to fairway. Didn't tell him. He never said anything, so I assumed, we were all right. Let's get rid of this nonsense. There's that bush. I want to see what it looks like from this angle. What do you think? Anybody think this angle will be better or worse? Oh gosh, that's better. Because now, yeah, look at that. See, now look where you're going to come into this camber. If you play straight, you're going to feed this way. I might flatten it out right up here so that if you can get up on top, you can get a flatter lie. See what happens if I can actually make a swing. Nope. Oh, the joys of needing a new controller. It's an Xbox One controller, but it's been in here for a little while. Now, did that take the bunker to the left out of play? I don't know. Let's try it. Well, it looks like it's still in play, but not as much. That being the case, I bet... No, it's still plenty in play. Well, I don't know. I think this angle makes it a better hole. It also gives you the ability to do something if you wanted to, which would be you could thin a couple of these trees out to allow a little more sunlight in. Let's see what happens here. We don't need a ton. Just a little more. Maybe this one? No. That one? Almost. I don't want to get rid of that big oak. That oak is a good oak. This one I can get rid of. What does that do? So close. Not that one, is it? No. One's behind it still. Almost. So I didn't even see a thing. So your issue with wedges, when it's not a full shot, I tend to leave the face open and block them out to the right. Yes, I can identify with that problem. You are not alone in that struggle. Actually, I think we could live with that one. That one. Well, let's do this. Let's take this oak, which he did actually plant on his own.
All on your own, Kessler. Good job. That's great work, guy.
What does that do? I don't care about the pin set yet. No, it's not close enough to in play now, is it? Although, you see what I mean, though? That just lightens up the fairway a little bit. And you can still do planting over there, just be lower. See, we've got a little camber. I bet we could add a ridge into that fairway down in the landing area. That could be pretty cool. I'll show you what I mean. Right here, starting right about here. And not huge. We'll just do about like that, 1 foot. And I'll play a ridge right there. Means I'll lower this side of the ridge a little bit. Yoink. And over here, I don't think we need to lower anything. But I'm going to put a little knob right up on the end of this bunker, which it won't force you one direction or the other too much. But if you don't play it just right, it will kick you. Let's see what that does. Sorry, I punched the microphone with my hand there. It was being naughty. Naughty microphone. Take a slamming. Let's see, on the right side of that ridge, it should move to the right. Ooh, we missed it. See, now, the ball's going to trickle over here. We're going to have a little bit of a wonky lie. Yeah, but we're hiding the green. So that knob isn't going to work. I like the idea, but it's too much. So what we can do, and sorry, there's not, you don't just go, oh, I have a perfect idea for a hole. This would be wonderful. You have to kind of fiddle with it. At least that's how I do it. Like, don't screw yourself up by ruining a good hole. But don't be afraid to experiment with it. I mean, that's fine. What if I leave the ridge but lower the whole surround a little bit? And then bring it back across to this little toenail. And it's kind of hidden in the shadow, which is sneaky. Well, it looks good from the tee. Let's see if we play way over here and can hit a straight shot. Hey, we did. What do you know? Now we'll have a lovely little even lie, no problem. But if we leave it here and give it a smeesh, Now we're going to clear the ridge. So we'll be okay. So if you mishit it over to the left, you're going to have a much worse position. So up here, you're okay. I wonder if we could, I'm going to try one more thing in the fairway, and then we'll look at the green. For a moment.
We'll look at the green for a moment, laddie. It'll be great, it will be. It'll be so great, you'll have no idea how you ever lived without it.
Just a slight little, not a knob, just raise it a little bit, and then dump it back down over here. Kind of reverse the camber we just had. I think you could bring this water, I mean, it's a creek, but you've already got it split. I don't know. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to play that one time. If you haven't noticed yet, you'll know that I've said previously, play your hole over and over and over and over. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, unless you really play your hole many, many times while you're making changes, you'll never know if they're accomplishing what you want. And if you just make a bunch of changes, and then you say, okay, now I'm ready to play it. Well, then you don't know which change was the right one and which one was the wrong one. Yeah, I like that. That's a good look. Looks like the fairway just kind of drops off there a little. So the hole is better than what you previously had, but I think if you changed the angle here. Oh, the other thing you could do when you do the angle over here is you could very easily wrap this fairway way over here and make it look enormous, even when it's not. What happens if we tuck this in here even a little more? Or what if we just bring it closer? What does that do? And I think that's too artificial. I think a different kind of tree. That work? No. Where's the other elm? Oh, this isn't the right theme. I'm missing the best elm. Dang it. Actually, you know, you could put that there. Oh, my phone just buzzed. I have a receipt or tip available at Starbucks, which means my wife just bought coffee. About, what does that do? Why, the shadows just kill these lower trees, don't they? Let's try something. I think you'd be better off planting your own stuff there than dealing with what they gave you. Because you don't want to leave it empty. You definitely want to put some trees in, but I think you want to have a little more control. I'd almost a little something up here. You're going to want a focal point over there too in a minute. What does that do from a tree standpoint? And if the sound is just entirely too echoey, please let me know. I mean, if it's echoey, I get it. But if it's passable for now, I don't want to turn everything off and redo it. Unless I absolutely have to. And see, that knob is going to be... It's a good idea, but I think it needs to move slightly. I think it's a little too high and a little too far to the left. Just because it plays okay, but it has the possibility of ruining the visual and making the whole feel a little more unfair. Let's see. Dump this side a little bit more. That. Bring this all up a little bit, all the way to the bunker. We could even bring this part back up a little bit, which will allow us to bring the bunker up a little bit, make it even a little more prominent. One more tee shot, then I'll move the green a little bit. See, visually that's... I liked it visually the other way a little better. I think I know how to fix it, though. From a playability standpoint, now it should bend to the left. Yep, it'll end up there, it'll move a little to the right, and we'll have a slightly side hill lie, or a lot side hill lie, however you want to look at it. What's that going to do? Yeah, I'm all right with that. But there, sculpting and bunker on hole 14, I think we've made some headway there, Jakob. Although I think putting this here messed with the shadows a little too much. Move it a little closer. Take it down a notch. Yeah, that's better. And I'm not going to need a tee shot to figure this out, because I already know where we're headed here. Raise this just a little, and then raise this a little more. Raise it into that knob that we made. From here, that'll frame it a little better from the right side. Oh yeah. I'm going to lower this back down a little bit too, because it lost its tilt. It became too flat, if that makes sense. The tee shot became too flat. It lost its right to left movement. There, we've got it back a little bit. There we go. Now, buddy, this is just, I mean, look at the green height from the water table is max of 4 feet. Well, 4 feet in this game is nothing. First thing I'm going to do is save it. Well, let's see what we can do. Well, first, this is going to be a little tricky because of the shape that you used. That's going to be too fuzzy. Can we catch enough of it this way? Yeah, I think so. Well, that's already an improvement. However, again, your lack of heavy rough usage is not allowing you to really accentuate what you're doing a whole lot here, I don't think. I'm not going to mess with your green too much here. If it does, it's just going to be a little off the edge. In fact, I think I'm going to have to. Just to pull this back side up a little bit. Don't they have exercises for that? Pull your back side up a little bit. Ba-dum, ching. Hey-yo! And I'd also pull that over. Pull this out a little bit. And you could even tuck this down a little bit if you wanted to. Just don't let it get stagnant, if you know what I mean. What does that do? So we're gonna hide that rock. Sorry, rock. Not your fault. You were made that way. Don't blame you. It's me. It's not you, rock. What does that do? Well, already we've got a little better visual there. Now again, this ground back here looks like it's going below water level, even though it's not. And I don't think that's a good thing. If we're going to have a creek there, I think you have to make it higher than the creek, don't you? I mean, it's just more interesting that way. It moves the player's eye a little bit more. In fact, let's get a little nutty. We're going to do it. Let's just do it. You don't really have much in the way of trees back there. I think making this into a bit of a knob would be the way to go. Under this pine tree here. Means we're going to have to flatten a little bit. So that we're working with a surface that allows us to move evenly. If you're ever doing a raise or lower and you're finding that you're not able to get a smooth edge, go in with that little flatten and flatten around a little bit until you can establish that everything's on the same slope, I guess. I guess that's the word. What does that do? Well, already we're more visually interesting. Especially if we give this like a couple layers here. Hear people talk about layering. You hear Griff talk about it. You hear me say it. So what you want is you can layer bunkering, you can layer textures, you can layer planting, but you can layer sculpting too. It looks a little too off, so I'm going to bring it up into this front knob here. Knoll, if you will. K-N-O-L-L-L. Nope, just two L's. I heard myself echo and it sounded like I went L-L-L-L. It's that echo again. Dang, triple vocal cords. You ever met anybody with weird vocal cords who can like make train noises and stuff? It's crazy. What does that do? Well, Kessler, I think you'd admit already that that looks better. And I think back here you could get really much more aggressive. And then, once you do that, you can also be really lazy. Look at your plant meter, dude. Look at this right here. That's all you've used. You're a lazy butt. I hereby dub you a lazy butt. So I'm going to go ahead and use multiplant since you've got the resources. I'm going to fill this in back here and then give it a few big tall ones of some sort. Kind of break it up a little. In fact, I think this course screams to have, since you wanted to talk about planting, screams to have the edges really darkened in. I'll show you what I mean. Well, that's too far away. Get a little more intimate. And this seems lazy, that's because it is. But it doesn't matter because we're going to go back in and fix it. Because now, where's a good oak? That one. We're going to come in here right this height. Here's a cheat. That ought to darken those edges. Give you some contrast so that your play area stands out a little more. Now, do you have to do it this way? No. This is not how, like Fury wouldn't do it this way. Mike might do some of it this way. And Fury would do a little bit, because if you zoom out and look at a plot, everything's very contained. Feels claustrophobic is the word I like to use. Now, after we do this, let's define our play area using textures first. I would say that all the way to there we would use, and don't worry about getting too close to the fairway yet. Okay. I get a little jittery there. If you need to get really fancy with this, you can go really slowly around the edge. I don't think in this theme and with this lighting angle, it's going to matter all that much. But it will matter in spots. Right over top of this bunker is one. Now you see where the land changes color there a little bit? Use that. Go ahead and take your dark green up to the edge of that. And let that be a way of defining the play area here. What is this? Is this rustic? Yeah, it's got to be. This may seem like kind of a pain, but it is a pain. It is 100% a pain in the buttocks. Not just one buttock, both. Just going to take this along this edge here. Will it work totally? No. Over this hump, by this tree, over there. Yep, this is all play area. Now you wouldn't have to. You could plant all down here, but I don't think this course calls for that kind of planting right now. Not the way you've got it designed. Well, even that has set things off a little bit. Then you can come over on this side, do the same thing. we may not complete this entire hole, to being perfect. But I don't think that was the point of all this. It's getting you going down around this edge. Wrap up in. Down, define our play area. And really, if nothing else, you're separating your future planting area too a little bit here. Now let's see what this hole looks like with the changes we've made so far. And this really hasn't taken all that long, has it? Really? Well, I've got one shadow that I don't like. And before I go too much further, I'm going to fix that. I like the tree where it is, but it's robbing us. Yeah, it's that one. What if we go further up here? Yeah, that's better. Now you got to determine if you want your tea areas to be super planted and super fancy, or if you don't. I think on this one it's not going to matter as much. I'm going to give it a little bit of layering, a little definition. I don't want to do that. So what you can do here is you can either lower or raise the non-play area a little bit to even differentiate it a little more. Give it a little edging. What does that do? Yeah, that's nice. Then you could plant some grasses in there. I'm going to leave those other tees where they are for the moment. And you'll have to just imagine a nice green blanket of grass in front of this tee. But that looks better. I think it plays more interesting. The green area is a little more complex. It's not always a matter of raising and lowering and, oh, you're not sculpting right. Don't think of it that way. Think of it as adding complexity. You want it to be visually, how can I say this? You want it to be visually complex, but simply. And that's a hard thing to describe. But think of CSU, think of, Scarpacci specifically. He has a way of making a whole look very simple, yet the overall design of the whole is more complex. I'm having a hard time describing it. But I think you know what I'm talking about. It's like I do with planning a lot of times. I think that my planning is good. Some people say, oh, well, no, it's not that great. Well, I try to make it look like it would in real life, not like it should if I was drawing a picture of real life. I think some guys go that way. I guess this is one of the puddles they were talking about. I'm not going to mess with your green too much, but I think you could bring in some of these slopes a little bit more, especially from back here. But I think already the whole plays better. Now let's imagine we're playing into a wind. And I'll go to a 3-wood. And I guarantee you the shot's not going to look as good off of a 3-wood. But that's okay. I mean, they don't all have to be, write home and tell your mom, I played this golf all day and it made me just
feel like when you climb the rope in gym class.
I almost pulled off a Dr. Steve Brule.
It's Dr. Steve Brule for your health. Kind of a John C. Riley kind of thing.
I'll have to work on that sometime. That could be fun. Yeah, see, it's gonna hide you a little bit, but that's okay. I like the hole better. So let's do a little planting. Let's just, since that was another thing he was talking about. Trees. What kind of trees do we want to work with here? I'll show you another cool thing about this tree. It's really good at just bringing in underbrush. Filling in where you want to thicken things up. Because you can also make it smaller and almost stick up in a brushy way. What does that do? It's too brushy. What plants do we have in this one? Well, we do have these. And you can multi-plant these actually and get away with it. Not every plant you can do that. This is one where you can. Not everywhere, but in spots. And the reason I like it is because it does show up from a distance, and it does give you a sense of things being kind of filled in more than they are. So I think these kind of plants are cool to do fun things with. Like, water's too shallow. Kind of give it a little something like that. Little water plants. Just little ones. Yeah, that's kind of cool. See? Bring that under the brush. No. What else? I think a couple of these trees are a little out of place. One. That one. Probably the one next to it too. All of this nonsense. One thing that you can do that will help you not have to do as much planting is to use your sculpting as a lot of your planting. Or to use shadows and light to your advantage. Like here, this could be cool. Watch this. Pretend like there's like some kind of horrible path that goes back there. Leads off into the abyss, from which you will never be seen again.
Tread not the path of the abyss.
You could raise that over there. Give it a nice little knob here if you want. Here, watch this. I like this too. You can kind of raise this and hide the trees behind it. I wonder what that'll do. This might look stupid, so hold your horses. And if it does, then we'll just undo it. Yeah, a little too much right there. Got one too many trees here too. Not two. In fact, it's that one right there. Trees here all bunched together too. Go away, tree. No, seriously, go away. Thank you. You too. Oh, no, that's one I put there. Never mind. It's my fault entirely. Now, if you do that, then I would just take the heavy rough up a little further. Take it right up into there. Wrap around this little knob here. Oh, not enough. Go clear over there. You can always delete this. I'm going to put it there so it looks good from the T. So then your options are to either plant those little hillsides or to rough them in. No, I don't want to publish. I'm trying to save it. Thank you. That was odd. What happens if we rough it in? And let it go down on the other side. Oh, I like that more. That's much better. In fact, that's probably a cleaner look for this course overall. Build up the edges a little bit and let the planting kind of hang out behind it. Means I could probably lower that a little bit. That up. And see, now you've got choices. See what that looks like. Oh, crap. Stupid tease. Hurts my feelings. All right, so we did not reshape the fairway. We reshaped the bunker, but not drastically. Just enough to give it a little more visual appeal. We changed the angle of the tee so that it didn't necessarily bring the bunker into play more, but it made it more visual, and it made the tee shot just seem a little more interesting. We resculpted the fairway to slightly punish certain shots, to reward others. You know, if you landed up here, you're going to get a nice kick forward. We redid some of the trees over here. We added heavy rough. We added all of the mounding. This was totally flat before. I'm curious. Hang on, I'm going to play up here. Talk about the green for a second. Because we're not done. We're done with this hole probably for now. We don't have to be. I could plant that little area right in here. See what that looks like. Can you guys see my cursor? I have no idea. We made this second shot look a lot better, I think. In my personal opinion, which is worth precisely jack squat. Or we'll do a little planting then. Create, place objects, theme. Do we use a rock? I don't know, maybe. Sure, let's use a big dang rock. Use a couple big dang rocks. Now we'll put it over here. Does that do anything really? No, just makes it interesting as you play in. What does this do? Put this over here in the middle of the brick. Looks kind of cool. You know, I get what you were doing with these stones, but you gotta be a little more precise about it, I think. How small can I make these? Like, give yourself a few little ones here too. Well, it looks like somebody doing an underwater Stonehenge ritual or something. And then those grasses, this stuff is shallow enough. You may as well a little something anyway. Ooh! Incredible flying grass. What does that do? You know, adds a little something maybe. What do our plants look like? Nah. I think you just leave the bank as is. I like the visual under the water there, though. There's some other plants that work well underwater. These do, actually. If you can find a good way to use them. Kind of. You don't even have to spin them. Just do them just like that. They can look kind of cool. On the Scampi here, if you guys aren't familiar with how he does grass. Contrast. Let me get too carried away, I don't think. Want to. I am not averse to multiplant if it's used properly and sparingly. Just to highlight things. I'm going to need to go here in just a second and finish this another time. Family just got home from making some runs to the store, which means I need to get busy. And no, not busy, just busy. There, now we haven't done much here, but it's giving you a very natural looking little area over here, hasn't it? Pull that down even a little more. Get one of those. Let's give it a little splash of color, shall we? What color? Oops. Okay, I'm going to give it one playthrough and then we'll have to come back to it another time. What do you guys think from where we started, where this hole has ended up? I think we've made some headway. It's a terrible shot. Let's see where it ends up. Now that should actually get a little kick to the right. Yeah. And see, we've added some nice areas over here, if you can see my cursor. We've made this shot a little more interesting. And it didn't take much. I do that 18 more times, some of which will require more and some less. We need to add some planting back there behind the creek. But anyway, that's going to do it for part 1 of episode 1. And I will be back to, I've done kind of what he asked, but I want to take that first hole that you're looking at right now, as well as one other one, and really hammer it out, because I think there are some good things that can happen. And what I'll also do is in the thread, I'll post a before and after of that hole here in a little bit, so people can kind of see just what, taking your time to go through and a few changes will make. Thanks for now. Bye.